Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that is willing to explore every spooky location with you. And testing out that theory tonight, we will be exploring chilling tales of haunted morgues. I'm your host, Jennifer, a spirit communicator and a teller of ghost stories. After the stories, linger for a new in-studio medium reading with my podcast guest. And no need to feel left out of the spirit messages. Join me at my seance table after the reading to see if a spirit is specifically here for you as a listener to the podcast. How does that work? Well, join me in the candlelight to learn more. Also, a quick spooky announcement. I will be attending the Oregon Ghost Conference March 22nd through the 24th, 2024, in Seaside, Oregon. Come by that weekend and meet me at my vendor booth and attend the I Talk to Ghosts live show on that Saturday night. The Oregon Ghost Conference is amazing paranormal fun, and I am very much looking forward to it, so I hope to see you there. But first, we were gonna go explore a haunted morgue or two, weren't we? I wasn't stalling, I swear. The spooky is waiting for us right now. Taking care of others has always been a passion of mine, and I love my job at our small local hospital. I work in one of the more difficult departments, the cancer ward. This makes my job emotionally trying in a lot of ways. I have seen my share of death since I started working here, and I also work the night shift. Working at night, it can be a little creepy when you have to go down to the morgue. One late evening, myself and a coworker were charged with taking a body down to the morgue. I mentioned I live in a small town. Our morgue is just a little freezer room in the basement of the hospital. The only thing down there in the heavy darkness, really, is the ramp up to the cold room where the body is to be placed. So she and I wheel the body down there and up the ramp. And then in hushed whispers, we argued who was actually going to go into the small freezer room with the body. Of course, I lost this brief argument. So I quickly swing the freezer door open, push in the body, and hurriedly close the door shut. We started filling out our paperwork when we heard an echoed moan. We looked around and then at each other. My coworker asked me, "Did you hear that?" I nodded. The moaning continued, changing direction and locations around us. Grabbing our paperwork, we left the gurney and ran up to the safety of the well-lit upper floors. Halfway down the hallway, she asked again if I had really heard what she did. Of course I did. Eventually, I confided all of this to a nurse in my department. She told me that she had had similar things happen to her in the morgue as well. To this day, I will not go down there alone, and I try to get out of having to go at all. Last year, I was walking to my friend's house at a very late hour. My friend happens to live a block past an abandoned morgue. I passed by the morgue to find my friend sitting on its old concrete steps. He seemed distracted, as if listening carefully. I asked him what he was doing there, and he shushed me, that noises were coming from inside the building. which was extremely disturbing for an abandoned place where there were not supposed to be any people at all. We heard things being moved and dragged all over the morgue. Then, unexpected knocks and scratching. We braved investigating and peeked into some of the windows and saw chairs and a desk moving around in an otherwise empty room. The two of us felt extremely uneasy and backed away from the windows and into the dark lawn. We stood there in silence, not quite knowing what to do with our thoughts. Movement caught my eye, and I glanced at a darkened window. There was a girl there staring back at me. She was pale, with an emotionless expression, and she had pure black eyes, and her nose was missing. She stood there for a solid 3 seconds before she vanished into thin air. I promptly turned and walked away towards my friend's house, tears threatening to run down my face. My friend followed me and asked me what was wrong, and I told him. He had not seen the girl. I can't walk past that morgue after this experience, and still to this day I avoid walking that way, even in the daylight. I have never been so terrified in my life, and it all has completely changed how I think about the paranormal. I grew up in a small town in Ontario, Canada. The house I grew up in was a historical home. It used to be the town's doctor's office and morgue. There was a square section of concrete on the wall in the basement where the 2 morgue drawers used to be, and the front door still had a plaque of the old office hours on it. A lot of strange things happened in the house over the 15 years I lived there. When I was around 7, I was lying in my bed in the late hours of the night. I had woken up and was having a hard time falling back to sleep. I heard a creak in the hallway, so I looked out my open bedroom door, hoping it was my brother having trouble sleeping as well. It wasn't my brother. There in the hall was a figure that was transparent and faded below the knee. His face was blurry, but I could tell he was looking right at me. The man glided towards my open door and vanished at my doorframe mid-motion. I have never slept with my bedroom door open since, and I'm 24 years old now. When I was 11, I woke up to hear a hushed argument between a man and a woman in the next room, where my brother slept. At first, I was wondering what my mom and dad were freaking out about at this time of night, so I opened the vent in the wall to hear more clearly. It was louder, but the words sounded like gibberish. I concluded that my brother's alarm clock radio must have been turned on and making all the noise. I left my room, still hearing the voices as I walked down the hallway. Just as I touched the doorknob to my brother's room, the voices stopped. I hesitantly opened the door and discovered my brother was sound asleep in the silent, dark room. Another creepy event happened when I was 15. My parents were away at a beach cottage for the weekend, and I had the house to myself. I invited my best friend over to watch movies and spend the night. She was there for about an hour, when we started hearing noises upstairs. We weren't too scared since it was 3 in the afternoon, so we went to check it out. Nothing was out of place, so we thought perhaps it was the old hardwood floor creaking. We went back to watching our movie when the noises started again. But this time, it sounded like furniture was being dragged and moved above us. The mood became heavy, but we went upstairs to check again. A bookshelf had been pushed away from the wall, and it was now in the center of the room. We would have noticed that if it had been there a half hour prior. After that, we went over to her house, and I spent the night there. Book a tarot reading with me. Tarot can be a wonderful source for affirmation, validation, and inspiration. To book a session with me, visit italktoghosts.com/readings. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. My guest this evening is Clarice. Clarice, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I always appreciate people taking the time and the trust to have a reading with me. It's always very special to me. The first thing that I just wanted to say right off the bat, it was this statement that was coming in of wishing they had had more time, and the thought that time flies by so quickly. Mm-hmm. It was just the sentiment that was coming through, that just time flies. And I don't know if that they carried that sentiment in life with them before they passed, or if it just you're feeling that now too.
Mm-hmm. That does resound with me, because when you said wish there was more time, unfortunately we lost our I lost my son-in-law and our oldest granddaughter to suicide, and wishing there was more time, wishing had more time with them. And I often talk to them. I actually talked to them last night, and didn't hear anything audibly back from them, but just telling them, I'm so thankful for the time I had with you. I wish I had more time. So it actually does resound.
Okay. Yeah. It feels like they're echoing it back to you.
Yeah.
You know? Now, full disclosure, Felicia did tell me that you recently lost your sister. So I wanted you to know that I knew that. And that's all she said.
Okay.
So and spirit never comes in by themselves. So sometimes it's a little bit of detective work going on, but there's someone here. I'm seeing a lot of retro things. Like it was almost like the 50s was their time. Like they really just loved that period in their life. Does that make sense? I'm seeing like root beer and roller skates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. It could be just kind of some memories and stuff like that. When my father passed, but that was like 37 years ago. And he liked root beer.
Root beer was the first thing that came in.
Yes, so that could be with that. And then my mother passed 5 years ago. And then our sister, it was just a year ago. But that's interesting with that root beer thing, because that could definitely be an inflection with my father, because that was one of the favorite memories of doing that type of a thing.
There is a swirling mix of emotions and impressions that I'm getting. First, there's this bright, all kinds of love for the family coming through. Okay. Yeah. And I'm hearing kids and a dog and like, and all kinds of, do you want to speak to that before I keep going?
Yes, let's do that. I'm here with Felicia and the 2 children, and there's that love there and the laughter and things like that. They had a dog, That dog passed a couple years ago, but I remember that and those times. My mother was always very nurturing. And one of her favorite things to say was, remember how well you're doing, Dolly. And she would even say that about Felicia and the children. Think about all the good things that you're doing, Dolly.
Yeah.
So that nurturing and encouraging. And then Felicia's, I've been able to pass that on to her.
Yeah.
It's that nurturing spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What she's adding to that is a sense of safety, that everything is okay. Yeah. And I'm feeling like that echoes with your dad a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Because they're both coming in like, yes, this is us, to be secure.
Yes.
And know that everything was okay was a big deal to them.
It was a big deal to them. And that really resounds to me too. I just had an experience. I had an experience yesterday of something that was very dramatic for me, and I was having trouble dealing with it. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my mother last night and hearing those words, everything's going to be okay and you're not alone. So that resounds.
It's hard to convey the amount of support and understanding that they bring in.
Yeah.
It's just like the warmest blanket, and it meant everything to them. Okay, so there's talk also about some hardships and someone kind of isolating themselves. Kind of like I'm seeing a bit of like hermit-like behavior.
My husband tends to isolate. That definitely sounds like that could be, with that.
Okay. I think they just want to come in again with the support and the advice. They're saying for your husband, it's okay to accept help if that's difficult for him, to just trust that it's okay and that it's coming from love, and it's not coming out of any kind of judgment, and he shouldn't be judging himself either.
Right. That does speak, because he does have a hard time reaching out and thinking that maybe he'll be judged. That speaks to me about that.
Encourage him to analyze how he looks at things. Like if he focuses on just what is wrong, he's missing all of the good. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Everyone's coming in with the supportive messages. And to drink root beer. It's important.
That was pretty amazing.
All right. I wanna see who else is here with us. Did your sister pass rather quickly?
Towards the end, it kind of went downhill.
Yeah. Because I think she's here, and she's kind of bringing that up first. She seems like another bright star.
Yes.
Another bright light. She is conveying to you the sense of restart and freshness. Yes. Like just to take the heavy burden off of you, and like it's a new day and everything is okay. Yes. She is just really coming in with that emotion and sensibility, and I feel she had a real sense of wonder in her life. Yes. Almost childlike in a way, like she never lost that. Right. And I think that energy is coming through too, like, hey, everything is still beautiful and real and lovely, and it's here for you. And when you can connect to her through that.
Yes, that's beautiful. That really speaks to me. She was just awesome. I mean, she lived in Israel with my brother-in-law, and they were Jewish. And unfortunately, a suicide bomber was in a pizza place, and they lost their only daughter, who was pregnant at the time. And she had her time of mourning, but then she took that and she turned it into joy. She did things for other children, for other families. She always had a smile on her face, and even when she got very ill, she would smile and welcome people into her garden. Wow. So when you say a bright light, yes, definitely a bright light.
Yeah, that sense of the world is your Eden,
That's right.
Is coming through. And she just wants me to kind of emphasize this for you. If you're ever feeling disconnected or something, go out in nature, find a leaf, find the smallest of things and study it and, exchange energy with it and marvel that it's here and you're witnessing it. And that's the kind of energy she comes in with. And you can connect with her that way,
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
There are a few people here, so I hope I'm not skipping around. I'm seeing these like smooth black stones. It feels like they're in water or shaped because of water.
Our granddaughter that passed loved the ocean. There's some places here in Oregon that we had gone to the beach that had a lot of stones. And I remember her just
skipping them.
Yeah, skipping them and just kind of almost jumping over them, getting in the water, then jumping over the stones, walking over the stones. So I can't remember necessarily if they were black, but there's definitely a connection about the stones and with her and that skipping kind of a thing.
Okay. Because I'm seeing them, it's cold.
Yeah, it was.
Picking up like a whole bunch and the noise that makes. And water is definitely involved. And it seems rather calming. When I get closer to it, it's like this is calming and huge at the same time.
Yeah.
They're talking about celebrating. A celebration in your life right now. Do you have something coming up?
Our youngest granddaughter's birthday's in February, and Felicia's birthday's in February. I want to say probably that, because that's what's coming up, and those are always milestones.
Yeah.
Really important days.
Yeah. They're saying defend it, keep it. They're important.
They are.
The message is coming through that the things have been difficult to the point where it's like you have to fight for the celebrations in a way. You know what I mean?
It has been.
If you can have that reset and you can defend what is precious to you because you're holding it and you're keeping it safe is important.
Right. Yeah, that is important.
Who was always either getting good grades or awards or acknowledgement of accomplishments?
My oldest sister.
Yeah.
She was a very good student. She played the piano. She was always kept her room clean. She was like a really good cook. She sewed. I thought she was like perfect. She's actually the one who passed. So that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was her.
She's bringing in with that message too. Look at everything you've built. Look at everything you are and who you are. And the comparison game is not fun. And and then how we do it, how we compare, is also just a broken system too. She's just like all the things that you can tend to and nurture and accomplish are just so important, and that's where we should put our energy.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
I do have some messages for you that I wrote down.
Okay.
Pausing and resting is okay. All right. Especially if you feel blocked at any time. It's okay to take a step back and not be go, go, go all the time. And usually if something is blocking us, there's usually some kind of indication that, you know what, go ahead and take some time, rest if you need to. Don't feel rushed. Everyone sees things opening up for you in the future. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And they're seeing enlightenment and a new kind of joy to celebrate in your life. And you'll get there. And when you get there, keep it.
Wow.
And I think that's their encouragement for you for the year.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah, it resonates for you.
Yes, it does.
So good. Well, thank you so much for talking with me tonight. You have such a lovely family and so much wonderful energy that I'm having a hard time articulating into words. I hope I did okay.
Oh, you did wonderfully. This was like beyond what I would have ever hoped and expected.
Oh.
And I'm just so grateful for all that you've said, all the insights and everything. It's just, it's warming, it's comforting, it's peaceful. It's just giving me a lot of hope and joy.
Oh, thank you. That is very generous of you to say, and I'm completely honored.
You're welcome.
Okay. Before we go, do you have a personal ghost story that you would like to share this evening?
I've been having these dreams.
Listener ghost story.
One of my husband's brothers owns some canoes. He and his family go canoeing quite a bit. And I was telling him in my dream, I said, I need to borrow your canoe, or I'll pay you for it. I said, I need it for burial for my friend's husband.
Oh, wow.
And I never, in the natural, I wouldn't have thought, why would you want a canoe? And then I called my friend the next day. I knew her husband was terminally ill. I already knew that. But I called her the next day and she said, yeah, he passed. And I said, when? She said, just the other day. And it almost seemed like it coincided with my dream. Wow. And I've never, like I said, it's only been since I've been here, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's almost like every night I'm getting something. After I had this dramatic thing with this person last night, I was, talking it out, trying to, get peace about it, talking to my sister, talking to my mom, just kind of like what we're doing. And then I had a dream that I was on a bus and there was no driver and I was locked in and I couldn't get out. And then finally I got out, and it was like, it's almost like there's these things that are like telling me, there's, you're stuck, but now you're getting set out of that type of a thing. So it's just interesting. So I'm trying, actually going to start doing a dream journal.
Oh, those are all very fascinating.
Thanks.
And I love the idea of keeping a dream journal, because I find that if I wake up in the middle of the night and write down just a teeny little bit, I'll be able to remember it in a way that, like, it's probably gone to me if I don't.
Right.
And I also find that when I do that exercise, I'm more likely to have prophetic dreams. Or, it can even lead to like lucid dreaming, where you realize you're dreaming and you can kind of influence it, go flying if you'd like. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating. Yeah. Again, this is all new for me because I really never paid too much attention to dreams before until it seems like there's some messages in this. I think maybe I need to pay attention, but I appreciate that. I definitely will see if I can do that.
Yeah, well, you'll have to let me know if anything further develops, because I find it fascinating.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you again for everything. You have a lovely family, and their love completely surrounds you. It really does.
Thank you so much.
Would you like a free spirit reading with me and record your reading for the podcast? Sign up for your chance to be selected by visiting italktoghosts.com/guest. And as an added bonus, if you don't want to leave your reading up to chance, I'll let you in on a secret. There's a discount offer to book a private session with me, so you can book a date and time for certain. Visit italktoghosts.com/guest for more details. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening for someone listening to the podcast, so thank you for joining me at my seance table. Tonight, while doing spirit work, I have with me a labradorite tower. If you're not familiar with labradorite, it is a lovely crystal to help with energizing your imagination, creating new ideas, dream work, and it also helps awaken your own awareness to the energies around you. So I'm going to ground and center, call the spirit close. Tonight I have with me a man who is coming through with an apology. He's sharing with me that you don't know him now, but when you knew him in school, he was a jerk. And he's saying that he's owning the fact that he tormented you for a couple of years before he left that school. And he just wants the opportunity to tell you that he's sorry for that. And you were never in contact with him after all of this, and years have passed, and maybe he doesn't cross your mind that much anymore. But given this opportunity, he really does want to apologize for how awful he treated you when you knew him, and how much harm and stress and pain he caused in your life. And know that with his passing, he has a lot of clarity for how he was in life. He isn't even going to share the events that made him act out the way. He doesn't want it to sound like he's making excuses for it. He just wants you to know that he's sorry. He has the spiritual perspective to see you now and the wonderful life that you have for yourself, and the amazing partner that you have, and the things that you're able to do and create and share in life that he just was not capable of this time around. He wants you, and he says to put yourself out there. There's things that you hold yourself back on, things that you deserve to have in life, and experiences that you want, that you should have. So if this message resonates for you, and the Spirit is also saying it for everyone listening, don't hold yourself back. Try things out. If they don't work out, find another way. Try something else. This life is about exploring and reaching and growing. So do the things. Do all the things. Don't be afraid of something before you're even doing it. Don't be afraid of a situation before it's even happening, before you even start and try. Go for it. Just begin. Be curious, explore, and tackle any worry that you have at the time. Otherwise, it's just a fictional story you're telling yourself. So that thing you love that will light your heart up, go ahead and do it. If this message resonates for you, whether or not you know the Spirit who is talking with us, please reach out and let me know, because I would love to hear from you. Thank you. Are you enjoying your ghostly visit? If so, please follow, like, comment, and share. The ghosts may be talkative, but they are lousy at marketing, so every click helps. Tell your friends, and please leave a kind review so that others might join us. The Spirits and I thank you. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed my spirit work that I shared with you this evening, as well as those spooky tales of haunted morgues. Have you ever experienced something similar to these stories? I would love to hear about it. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.